Welcome back. Angel, what have you seen since our last podcast recording?
A few things, but I think you were going to start and tell me about your Triple X experience.
So I messaged you. I messaged Angel earlier this week because I was watching Triple X on Prime while I was on the stationary bike. I was like, okay, I haven't watched this movie in a while. You know, good movie to kind of get pumped up. Kind of the OG John Wick, where they don't really care that much about plot. It's more about the action. And I was watching a moment, and there's a moment at the beginning in like one of the training sort of sequences between Samuel L. Jackson and Triple X. And I swear Samuel L. Jackson's mouth does a weird movement, and I can't tell if it's just the replay or if they did a quick edit on it where they like changed a word or something like that. But this podcast has me looking at things like that when I rewatched that moment like a dozen times and then recorded it on my phone and sent it to Angel. And you didn't see anything though, did you, Angel?
No, I didn't. Yeah, it looked fine to me. Again, and that was on the phone, so maybe it was hard to see on the phone. I didn't get a chance to go look on Amazon, but yeah, I didn't see anything. So,
well, if you see something, if you guys are watching, everybody's watching Triple X, verify with me.
No one's watching Triple X.
I believe it's in the the camp sequence after the diner training at the beginning of the movie. Anyway, yeah. So watch that, and I also started watching If, which I really like the premise, and I like the animation and the voices, but there's something weird about how the story's written where there's like the main character and she's like, I'm an adult, I'm not a kid, and she very much like that's her two-dimensional character for the very beginning, and then all of a sudden she's like, I'm a kid, I can help, and she just like completely changes her perspective for no reason whatsoever. That was very bizarre to me. We'll see how it plays out. I'm only in the middle of the movie.
So I'm curious, like with your viewing habits of watching movies in little bursts, 15, 20 minutes.
Yep.
I mean, and from my perspective, movies aren't meant to be watched. Like, I feel like it's a disjointed experience, don't you think? And I feel like that could change how you feel about the movie.
Yeah. It definitely can.
Because say, for example, you know, if you watch a movie over the course of a week, you won't get a sense of like its pacing, you know, like a movie could feel really long, but like if you were to watch that movie over 6 different sessions or whatever it is, you may not get that feeling.
I feel like for me, the pacing comes with like, do I really want to get back to working out the next day because I want to see the next segment of that movie? And I also have like a really intense visual memory, so I can I kind of replay parts of movies in my head. And so when I have the break in between, I like replay it back a little bit, so I kind of get to think about it a little bit more because I'm only seeing that segment, and so I'm not watching the whole thing through, which rightly so, similar to stage where you get that sort of the full experience of the role on in front of you in the moment. I lose that, but I think I get the ability to pick it apart a little bit more mentally, which I find interesting. And especially if they're not the best action movies, I don't tire of them as quickly. Mm-hmm. I saw like it's like an old Mark Wahlberg movie where he's multiple past lives or something. It was not the best, but like fine for splitting up in a stationary bike.
It just seems like I could see that for a movie you've seen many times before. You're like, oh, I know this movie.
Yeah.
But like for a movie that you've never seen before and you want to at least try to enjoy it or understand it and get something out of it, like watching it in 15, 20, 30-minute chunks just feels weird.
Sacrilegious. It feels sacrilegious.
Like,
no, I understand.
I don't know how you can enjoy or get something out of that experience. But
but to me, it's like it's on this sort of spectrum of how you watch. Like I used to, if I started a movie I'd never seen before, I like needed to finish it. I would stay up way later than I wanted to stay up. I'd be exhausted because I wanted to like finish this movie because I needed to know how it ended. And I guess as I've matured as a film watcher, I've broken down movies into this isn't good enough a movie that I need to see the end, and this is good enough movie that I want to watch it all the way through. And those movies I will not watch when I'm working out because, as you said, you do lose the experience.
Got it.
But I also think like, we talked about horror movies or thrillers. And I think for me, because that's not necessarily a genre that I'm like the most comfortable with, I get spooked easily, that splitting that up over a workout gives me a break so I can take a breath. So maybe, that also could be it.
Okay.
How about you?
In terms of movies that I've seen recently, let's see. Yesterday, I actually went to the movies yesterday and I saw Presents, the new Steven Soderbergh movie. It was good. It was different, but that's sort of like on par for Steven Soderbergh lately. He likes to do things different and not sort of follow the status quo.
Different good, different.
Different good, yeah. It's a simple story. It's about a family moving into
No spoilers.
no spoilers. It's about a family moving into a new house and there's a ghost there.
A presence, as it were.
Exactly. And it's told from the perspective of the ghost.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. I like that.
It's 100% from the perspective of the ghost, so it's very different and it's sort of storytelling. And it's very simple. And it's a short movie. It's 85 minutes. So it's not this like drawn out thing. And yeah, I think it worked pretty well.
Cool. Yeah, maybe I'll see that. I like that idea. I was like the role reversal or like the perspective reversal from what we're the standard. Because they're always the like, oh, there's a presence, there's a poltergeist, there's a something, but like from that character's perspective. And I feel like they sometimes did that. They did that. What's the Nicole Kidman one where they did it from? This is a bit of a spoiler, so apologies.
I know.
The others, where they did it from a certain perspective, and then you get like a reveal, and you're like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I recommend it. It's easy, easy watch. I would definitely watch it in one sitting, not in
One
15,
sitting.
20 minute, 15, 20 minute spurts. But what are we talking about today? What are we breaking down?
Oh, well, welcome back to Trailer Teardowns. Today, we are going to talk about the much anticipated Karate Kid Legends. Watching the trailer or the teaser trailer. What would you call it, Angel?
It feels like an extended teaser.
You get teased a little bit.
Yeah.
A little tickled here.
But I mean, I think if you've seen one Karate Kid movie, you kind of get what's going on. And so yeah, Karate Kid Legends, the new Karate Kid movie coming out on May 30th, 2025, directed by Jonathan Entwistle. Not sure if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. Written by Rob Lieber and starring Jackie Chan, Ralph Macchio, and according to the teaser, introducing Ben Wang. There are a few others in there, but those are the key players there. If we want to hear the plot, here's just a quick little plot line from IMDb. Kung Fu prodigy Li Fong, played by Ben Wang, is uprooted from his home in Beijing and forced to move to New York City. When a friend needs his help, Li enters a karate competition. Li's teacher, Mr. Han, enlists original Karate Kid Daniel LaRusso for help.
I think it's kind of fun because you could also say Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is almost like that. The Fresh Prince is uprooted from his hometown due to a fight and has to move to a new city, and he joins the basketball team. I feel like, it's the standard beats.
Obviously, the last 6 years, we've had Cobra Kai, right? On Netflix. Yeah. Originally started on YouTube, but that's been going on for the last 6 years. Very popular series. And, when they announced this movie, no one was involved from Cobra Kai.
I think one actor at least is.
Well, yeah, obviously Ralph Macchio, but no, none of the writers or EPs or directors from the series. So it was an interesting, like, oh, what are they going to do with this? Is this going to be set in the same world? Well, not the same world, but rather like, when's this taking place? Before, after Cobra Kai, etc. So,
well, and I think Cobra Kai also has a bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of, it balances a bit of the like humor related to it, but also some of the seriousness with like in the first season, you had the army flashbacks that were a bit dark in Cobra Kai, and some of the characters, definitely very dark, but also there's a humor that I think works for TV that isn't necessarily been in like the Karate Kid movies in the same way.
Definitely the show definitely has a different tone to it than the movies.
Yeah.
And I think the one complaint that I have, and I've heard it from others, is like the Cobra Kai just plays a little melodramatic with the teenage drama and all of that. But I've enjoyed it over the years.
I haven't finished the last couple seasons, admittedly. It just got kind of repetitive to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same. Exactly. I felt the same way, but it's an easy watch. I'm in the middle of the last season. They've been dropping them in chunks, so it's not done yet. So that's gonna be interesting going from Cobra Kai and then to seeing this new movie and how that's gonna balance. And I guess we can start discussing that.
Well, also especially given the fact that Cobra Kai has for many seasons brought in as guest stars people who were in the original movies. The his enemy in Karate Kid 2, the love interest at certain times from Daniel LaRusso's past. Like, I think it's interesting they brought them all back. So then you now have this new movie. How is that going to play in? As you said, is it post Cobra Kai, and does he have all these relationships that he can call on, or is it a sort of a reset in a way where Cobra Kai hasn't existed and that's a splinter parallel universe?
Yeah, no, I agree. And, I guess with that, like, let's, what stood out immediately for you? Like, what's gut reactions on the trailer?
My gut reaction? Well, my first one was like, again, and it goes along with this universe. We've got Jackie Chan's character. Last time we saw him, he was teaching Jaden. And then now, Jaden's not in this at all. Did Jaden just grow up? And so he's no longer a karate kid. He's his own, their own person.
Who knows? I mean, this is, I guess, maybe it's a teaser, so they're obviously not showing everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's always the reset. It's always the reset. I like the idea of worlds coming together. I guess to me, the weird thing that hit me was like, it reminded me a little bit of, oh man, Lionheart. You remember that Jean-Claude Van Damme movie?
Mm-hmm.
For those who have not seen Lionheart, a karate or a martial arts master gets into the underground fight circuit and, to win back his freedom because he's like a French legionnaire who had fled or something. But it's like this underground fight competitions. And the thing that sort of jumped out to me was like, what is this karate competition that's going on? They're like on top of roofs, and it looks like there's a street thing underneath, a bridge that they're all fighting in. And I'm like, okay, so just these karate competitions pop up. Like, it reminds me also of, oh man, you remember the movie Only the Strong?
Yes.
With Capoeira? Yes. And like there's like the good guy teaches Capoeira, and then amazingly the bad guy who's the drug lord boss in the city also fights Capoeira. And then they have a Capoeira battle. And you're like, really? I just think it's, it's interesting that it always sort of, I don't want to call it a trope, but like falls to that. And it's like, oh, this kid who's really good at karate must face his demons in a karate competition that just appears, that doesn't exist in the real world. Or maybe I'm just not like in with the underground martial arts street fighting competitions.
I don't know. Like, I'm not a diehard Karate Kid fan. I've only seen the original ones with Ralph Macchio. And so I have not seen the next Karate Kid or the Karate Kid with Jaden Smith. So whether or not these competitions exist or not, I mean, I think that's just like,
they serve the purpose. They serve the purpose of the film. It feels like you always have to one up it. And the first one, it's the local karate competition. And then, I guess it keeps going up, that this seems like it's, I don't know, the social media version of underground karate competitions that I don't know, suspension of disbelief. I'll do it because it'll be cool fighting.
Yeah.
But it just seemed, that's sort of one of the things that jumped out to me. What about you?
I mean, I immediately, again, going back to Cobra Kai, and just like, because again, that's just in my mind, and I imagine a lot of people's minds as they are watching this, they're like, okay, when does this happen? When does this take place? Is this before Cobra Kai? After Cobra Kai? Because like Ralph Macchio looks a lot younger and different than he does in Cobra Kai, so I want to say maybe this takes place before Cobra Kai, especially since Cobra Kai is happening right now, and like that story is not wrapped up, but obviously maybe they're just keeping, they're just doing something different and not really kind of worrying about the Cobra Kai, world. But that was like the first thing that popped in my head. And that overall, the trailer plays fine to me. It feels like an extended teaser, like I mentioned before. It does a good job of setting up the world, the tone, and like the characters. It just seems like, okay, here's our 2020s version of Cobra Kai. It's been 10 years since we've done this. I haven't seen the Jaden Smith one, but is it the same idea? A kid it's
modernized,
kid who gets kind of in trouble, and then he links up with Jackie Chan, who teaches him, and he gets into a competition and wins and learns about himself.
Yes.
And okay, so
And
uh,
then befriend, as enemies become his friends as they learn to respect him.
okay, is there a girl? Is there a girl that a love interest?
Oh, it's been a second. I don't think there's a love interest. Yeah, there's more. He's been uprooted, and he's feels like an outcast. Also, for those listeners, the jingling you hear in the background is Angel's dog. Uh, and that's Angel.
She's been
Yes.
banished.
The other thing, yeah. So I think they modernized it. I don't think there was a female love interest. There seems to be a female love interest in this one. They've got the subway moment in the teaser. One thing I did really like about this is the nod to the past movies in the sound design. And I think I got these right. I was trying to look it up. So first you have these little chimes that are starting off. And I think those are Ting Sha bells, which are like Buddhist meditation bells. They're little finger bells kind of that are used in meditation. And then it goes from there and it pivots to the damaru drum. And those Karate Kid fans, the damaru drum, which actually makes an appearance in this teaser trailer, is from Karate Kid 2, with the ending sort of fight scene where they start, the drum that they shift back and forth and it bangs against itself. That is the damaru drum, and that comes in the score of this trailer. And I think that's a really nice touch, that it's like the change in beats and then it speeds up, and it speeds up like it did in Karate Kid 2. And you get those moments that integrating in the sounds both of sort of the Karate Kid stuff, but also of past movies as part of the sound design for the trailer, I thought was a really cool touch. And even if people don't realize it, I think those who have seen the past movies will emotionally get connected to it because they have that association with the past movies. I don't know if that caught you at all.
Yeah, I didn't relate it to the other movies, but no, the sound design for sure definitely worked, and the way that percussion beats and the way they edit, I think plays well. Again, the trailer, I think it's a good trailer. It's a good, simple. I always like to look at the strategy of like what the movie studios and like marketing, like what are they doing this? Obviously, this has hooking people who are fans of the series, the world of Karate Kid, but bringing in new audiences is definitely key and important too. So I think it does a nice balance of, hey, this is something new. We have our familiar faces, and you're going to see some cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like the team up kind of concept of you got the Jackie Chan character and Ralph Macchio coming together. They even use that in some of the voiceover of like, I didn't come for your sensei, I came for you, and sort of building from there. And then I do think it's got a little bit of that teen drama kind of feel to it a little bit. I don't think they lean into it too much, but the fact that he's got this love interest and he's like, he's got to fight for your own. And I think the parkour / street fighter kind of fighting, they have a moment where he's running and like holds on to the fire escape and, bounces off the wall kind of thing. It's very much a like Step Up 14 kind of style of like action. And I thought it was interesting how they do have an action scene where you're seeing all three of the Jackie Chan, Ralph Macchio, and Ben Wang or Wong fighting, but it's done in sort of short action cuts, so you don't see sort of the bigger picture or what's going on, but you get this nice feel of like they're working together, which for those Cobra Kai fans made me think of the moment when Daniel LaRusso is teaching his daughter and the other kid how to balance on the waterboard in the koi pond, and they must, balance each other out as they fight, so they work together. That it almost felt like a nod to that in a way.
What was nice about this teaser, it doesn't give away like a big like set piece or anything or tease it. Maybe that alleyway fight, it's looked like he's in an alleyway, but it's just nice and balanced, as opposed to like a Mission Impossible where you're like, oh, here's the big set piece, or something from some other action movie where they're kind of just like gonna highlight something there and like hook you in. It's nice and balanced, and it doesn't give too much away.
Also, I feel like this is one thing that they did different than I think. I mean, I haven't reviewed all of the past Karate Kid trailers, but one thing that felt different is you don't really know who the bad guy is. There's one guy who kind of pulls him on the subway, but he doesn't talk ever. And, you just get a moment, but that could just be some kid. And it's his first time you see him touching a bruise on his face. But it's not like, Karate Kid 1, it's the other dojo and, the teacher. It's not Karate Kid 2 where it's Mr. Miyagi's nemesis and the nemesis is a protege. Yeah, it's not like each one has their nemesis. I mean, in the modern one with Jaden, it's sort of himself, but I believe in the trailer they show, the group of kids who are kind of messing with him.
I imagine there will be sort of like the main baddie that he's going to fight in the competition. But I'm curious, like, what's their plan with this? If this does well, will they make another one? Again, movie studios want to do that, right? They want to start up a franchise. And so, this reminds me a bit of like the Rocky series where it transitions to Creed. In Creed, you have a new character who wants to box, and then you get Rocky Balboa coming in to train him. And so, he's the role sort of has reversed there, or not really reversed, but Rocky's now the mentor. I'm curious, like, if
Indiana Jones, the Crystal Skull, Indiana stepping back as Shia LaBeouf.
Well, he doesn't step back. That does not happen. No, it's more like, if they'll do a part 2, and do they kill off Daniel LaRusso in like the next one? Like, I don't know, but that's just kind of being a little
melodramatic there. Yeah.
Melodramatic there. But, it's just sort of like that. Granted, like we've seen the role reverse already for Ralph Macchio, Daniel LaRusso's character in the series. But it just kind of has a little bit of that.
And what will he provide in this movie that we haven't seen in the series?
Right.
Too, because he is the mentor in the series for a lot.
Yeah, and also the movie takes place in New York, which is not Daniel LaRusso's home base. So again, it just seems like Jackie Chan's.
I think it didn't seem like Daniel LaRusso's kids or wife was around. So I feel like it's got to be a different universe. Like there's only so much you could be like, oh, I'm training and like, I'm just not going to talk to my family, but they exist.
Yeah, and his role is probably just really small. I don't know. Well, I guess the legends, who are the legends, right? Jackie Chan and Jackie Chan's character and Daniel LaRusso. But with that, Jackie Chan's also got the top billing, so that's kind of interesting. And I think like he's obviously not the central, like he's sort of like the main.
One of the branches of the bonsai tree, as it were.
That's true. And so I think it's more his movie than like Daniel LaRusso's movie. In a way, obviously it's going to be centered around the kid and like his journey and his development and all of that.
I also thought what was interesting, and I'm curious to your thought, because I don't actually have a thought beyond just noticing this. So they've got not the reintroduction, but he brings up the headband that he got from Mr. Miyagi with the bonsai tree on it. And I think it had the red sun, but the ending image, which I think might be related to also with the poster, is this like giant red sun, and you've got Karate Kid Legends in it, which is a nod to the Japanese flag. How much is that going to play into it? Does it lean a lot more on the roots and his past, or is it representative of something else? Is it changing?
Yeah, interesting. And it is two different cultures too. Like Jackie Chan's sort of way, he comes from the Kung Fu, whereas Mr. Miyagi was karate, right? And like there's no reference to Daniel LaRusso or anything like that, Cobra Kai, Miyagi-Do in the first Jackie Chan Karate Kid movie, right?
No,
okay,
there
so
isn't.
This is the first time where
But there is like a symbolism of the hurt from his past, very similar to what happened with Mr. Miyagi. So Mr. Miyagi has that love in the past and his military career. In the Jackie Chan one, I believe it's sort of a death from a car accident, and he blames himself, if I'm remembering correctly. But each one has that sort of like drunken moment. Like, how there's that drunken moment in the first Karate Kid? There's like that again in the Jackie Chan one.
Got it. So like that the Jackie Chan Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, that was intended to be a reboot.
Yeah.
No association, but now they're melding it here together. So that's kind of an interesting take on this. And
Hmm. Hmm.
so, I guess to bring those two worlds and fans, audiences to like, all right, let's see how this works. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I watched the Jaden one with Jackie Chan, I thought Jackie Chan was just a Mr. Miyagi reboot. It was a while ago I saw that, so in the time I probably realized it was different, but it was a parallel for sure.
What else kind of stuck out to you in the trailer?
That was mainly it. I mean, you got the wide shots. It's not as cinematic as the original Karate Kids with the, at least the seeming sort of wide shots of training sequences with dramatic music of doing it. This was more group wide shots of like a full training, dojo, as it were, that I thought was interesting, that stood out. And that it's very much like Jackie Chan's territory of like Rumble in the Bronx, like, subway stuff, alleys. Like you've got that flavor that definitely wasn't in the originals, that was much more toned down in the karate moves that were happening.
Does this again? I probably not that I'm not really interested in watching the Jaden Smith Karate Kid, but does the look of it, is it similar to this, or does it overall like have a different look?
No, the Jaden Smith one is much more lower key. It's like the Jaden Smith character's mom gets a job, I think, in Beijing and moves there, and then Jackie Chan's character is the super in the building, and Jaden is kind of an outcast and doesn't feel like he fits in, and then he gets bullying by these kids, and so Jackie Chan's character like helps teach him respect and also like martial arts. But it's very much like takes place a lot in their apartment complex, similar to the original Karate Kid.
Yeah, but I guess more in terms of the look, just like the lighting, the cinematography.
This comes off at like a lot higher production value in the sense of like very well lit, or the colors and dramatic sort of nature of it.
Okay.
While the Jaden one, at least to me, from my recollection, came off more, I don't want to say street, but more like you were in it with them rather than more of an epic feel that this sort of had at some level, to me at least.
Got it. And so again, I don't know the storyline of the Jaden Smith version, but it takes place in Beijing, not New York.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So talking about the look of it, the transition for me, and like I'm curious if other people will have the same feeling. After watching Daniel LaRusso in Cobra Kai for the last 6 years or so, and then seeing this trailer, it was a very drastic jump and change of feel in terms of the feeling and look of like what he looks like and the world he is on screen. This trailer obviously has like a cinematic quality to it. It's not overly lit. It has more depth to it and texture in the look of it. So it's just weird seeing that same character jump into a different look tonally from Cobra Kai, which is, it's very bright and, kind of, it's a lot of stuff's in focus, and it just has that, again, it's a different space. It's TV versus film, but I don't know, like you could argue also that like, if David Fincher would make things look the same, like you watch House of Cards or Mindhunter, like you see those and you're like, that looks like a movie, right? Granted, those are dramas versus sort of like a comedy drama, but it just, to me, it sticks out. But again, it's just the character, but it's just going from one world to the other. It's just a little bit jarring to me. I'm curious if other people feel the same way.
Well, I'm curious. I'm curious if the plan was to have people who have seen Cobra Kai watch this, or if, because Cobra Kai, as you said, started on YouTube, and then moved over, like that's sort of a younger generation feel of watching on YouTube, that maybe they're thinking the Karate Kid semi diehards, the ones who remember the movies, who at least saw the first couple, they're going to come out and watch this. And then the kids who want to see an action fight movie with martial arts are going to come out and see it. And maybe they've seen Cobra Kai, but they're going to be less knowledgeable about the past Karate Kid movies. And so this is like, oh, it's a TV, now move to a movie a little bit. I'd be curious if that's PR team, if you're listening, let us know. Throw it in the comments.
No, yeah, it's an interesting the idea for this, because it's pieces of different worlds. You got Daniel LaRusso from the original trilogy, and then you have Jackie Chan, who was in one, and he's the carryover, but not the Karate Kid, Jaden Smith. So it's an all new. It's an interesting like hybrid of what they're doing there, and curious to see how well it does, and what they do with it afterwards. Also, I want to know like how this relates to Cobra Kai, if it's before or after. It's just like I want to know where it fits. And my theory.
Soon enough, Angel.
My theory is it's before Cobra Kai.
I'm gonna fall in that it's a parallel world where the Cobra Kai universe doesn't exist. That he's not married. He's like, it's just a different. No, it's that the Cobra Kai was one way to go with it, and that this is not that way. That's my guess.
I don't see them doing that, especially now. One of the top comments on YouTube is the Karate Kid multiverse begins, and everyone knows what multiverses are, and so I don't know. I mean, maybe that is what but I don't know if that's the multiverse. I don't know if that fits in the multiverse.
Well, it's because you saw like some Marvel movies and they integrated in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that actually really ticked me off, or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. integrated in some of like the Marvel movies, and that if you didn't see the other one, you like missed information. And I was like, I can't see everything always in the order you want me to watch it, which was a little annoying. So I'm hoping it's not in the sense that I had to watch every season of Cobra Kai to get it, because that would be, I don't know, that would just be kind of tick me off.
No, and I think there's two different things. One, a multiverse could be your theory, right? It's it's a separate. He's not married. That Cobra Kai didn't exist. Johnny never came back, and that's this multiverse. Or it could be like the MCU. It's the cinematic universe. It's the Karate Kid cinematic universe, and this is just expanding the world. And maybe those other characters will pop up, and that could just be like fan service. Or curious to see where it goes. I'm kind of indifferent there. I'm whether or not I just want to know. More my thing is like, what is it? Is it an extended universe, or is it a multiverse?
Well, it's amazing. I've got a call with you and Ralph Macchio right after this, just for him to answer any questions you have.
Well, you know what? You can ask him.
How amazing would that be? That would be amazing.
Well, if this movie does huge, I mean, if it does make a lot of money and has a good reviews, obviously we're going to get more of these. But I really want to see is like, when are we going to get the Karate Man? Like we've had the kid for years.
Isn't Daniel LaRusso and Jackie Chan's character, aren't they the Karate Man?
I guess. I mean, Daniel LaRusso is, because you obviously see him grow up. He was the Karate Kid, now he's the man.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I would want to see. I mean, but like he's like in his 50s or 60s. I don't know how old he is.
Okay, but what do you want the Karate Man to do? Like, do you want him to go beat up other people, or is it like, oh, you want like like a Chris Farley movie where it's like, oh, this is stolen this, and now we got to go, and we're gonna go, or like a Steven Seagal movie? I mean, it gets like pretty bad when it's a one-person wrecking crew in using karate.
I mean, I guess the original Karate Man, I guess, is Jean-Claude Van Damme with his Kickboxer and Lionheart and
or Bruce Lee. Any Bruce Lee movies?
Yeah, but no, I guess like in this world, like with the Karate Kid, let's give me, maybe that's just an SNL skit, Karate Man, but you know.
I think, oh my God, I would watch that SNL skit. I'd write that SNL skit.
But I think it'd be funny to see. And I feel like they could play it serious. Like, but yeah, it's probably more like a Jean-Claude Van Damme kickboxer or blood sport type. Again, those have competitions.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
A couple other notes that I had. Again, there's no allusions to Cobra Kai world so far, but like one thing, the font of the trailer, or not the trailer, sorry, the text font treatment of Legends has excuse Cobra Kai a bit. It has that style. Okay,
that's for you. They made that for you, Angel,
Maybe.
Just to mess with you, just so that you're ripped apart, not knowing.
I'm not ripped apart, but like I don't even know how you would call that font, but it's just got that stylized like look to it, which looks a bit like Cobra Kai, but whatever.
Any other last thoughts? Feel like you got little things you're picking out of this one.
No, that's it. I mean, I think I I think we kind of covered it all.
Awesome. All right, so we're gonna leave the audience with a question, and you can
Hold
leave
on,
your.
time out.
Oh,
We didn't do our rating.
oh my God, oh my gosh. Oh yeah, rating. Okay. Oh, man, I actually didn't think about this ahead of time. You go first. You go first. I'm nervous.
My rating, I'm interested just to kind of hear how this fits in the world of Cobra Kai and like what are they doing, you know? But I'm not rushing to theaters for this. I'll wait. I'll stream it. Unless the reviews say it's amazing and most fun ever, but I'll stream it.
I'm sort of mixed on it because I am a Karate Kid fan. At least the originals were part of my childhood in a way, and I have like an emotional association with them, and I think I'd seen them in theaters. Maybe I just saw them on TV. That I feel like I kind of want to see this in theaters, but at the same time, in the back of my head, I feel like this is going to have a different tone than the OG Karate Kids. And so I think I kind of like, I would like to see it in theaters with the asterisk. I'll probably ask a friend who goes and sees it in theater first and tell me if it's worth it. And then I'll go see it. If not, I'll stream it.
You'll definitely stream it. You'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I'll definitely watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll most likely stream it unless it's just, again, horrible.
I'd still start it. And then I'd feel peer pressured to finish it. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. What are we asking the audience?
Okay, so just a reminder, on Spotify, you can leave answers to our questions that we sort of pose at the end of every episode. That seems to be the only place that sort of has a comments section. Question we're going to pose is, what iconic moment from the Karate Kid movies is your favorite? Angel, do you have one? Do you want me to go? I've got like a list, unfortunately, in my head.
I have one. Nothing here. I mean, mine comes from the original Karate Kid. I love the montages and it's such an 80s movie. It's like perfect.
Mm-hmm,
It's a perfect 80s movie. But I love, this is in the third act when he's in the competition, the song "You're the Best Around" by Joe Esposito.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so good. That montage, again, the 80s montages back then were great. But yeah, I like that song. I even used it in a student short film of mine many years ago. So
amazing.
That's how well I like that song. So yeah, that's mine.
Awesome. I think mine, I've got a number of them. So when in Karate Kid, oddly, a lot of them are from Karate Kid 2. In Karate Kid 2, when the ending battle scene is about to happen and he comes down there and everybody takes out those damaru drums and they start playing it, like that build up at the beginning right before the fight begins, it's just like, it's epic in my mind. It's just like he's coming back, he got beat up and he comes back and he like does the moves that he had just learned on the with the hook that was coming from the fish. And then the other one, and I used to do this as a kid, no joke. I don't know if other people remember it, but there's the breathing moments where he like goes and he like puts his hands over his head and then he's in like a prayer thing and then he goes out and he's like, breathe in, breathe out. And he does that to break the bricks of ice, the blocks of ice in the shop. He like breaks 6 of them. And I thought that was awesome. And I used to do that to like prepare as a kid. I mean, and then I'll throw one last one because again, from Karate Kid 1, I feel like everybody knows it, where Mr. Miyagi claps his hands together and he rubs them together and he fixes Daniel LaRusso. I used to do that and I was like, this will fix things. Like if I'm injured, this is like magic. And I think it just warmed up the hands and maybe was like a warm press to convince you. So yeah, audience, what is your favorite, like a most iconic moment that sticks in your head related to the Karate Kid movies?
Yeah, let us know in the comments. That's what they're there for. It'd be cool to hear what other people think. And again, we always have the poll. Love to hear what people are going to do for this movie. They're going to see it opening night, stream it, if nothing else is on, or a hard pass.
And as a fun reminder, in case you haven't looked at the descriptions in our podcast, we put links to every single trailer, or as best we can, of every movie that we mention during the podcast. So if you're like, what's that random movie reference that Heaven or Angel made, it'll be linked in the description in chronological order because that's what Angel's OCD has insisted upon.
Yes, exactly.
That's it for us. Thank you for listening.
All right. Thanks for listening.
So you thought the podcast was over? Well, not quite yet. In our descriptions, we always end with what we call the director's cut, notes where we've reviewed the podcast and found all the things that we messed up on and made notes on it. This podcast, we have decided to do it verbally just because I made a giant mistake that I wanted to correct. So the first big one is I repeatedly reference capoeira, which, if you do a Google search, is a type of fish, because I know this word, but I accidentally meant to say capoeira, which is an Afro-Brazilian martial art, and not capoeira, which is a fish. So please pardon that mistake. Also to note, a simple online search shows that Karate Kid Legends takes place 3 years after Cobra Kai. So now Angel knows. And in addition, though Karate Man does not exist, SNL did a pretty hilarious Karate Teen, which essentially is Karate Kid, sketch. All right, thanks for listening.